Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. What if I told you one of the biggest regrets retirees face isn't spending too much, but rather spending too little? Study after study show that retirees who spend more enjoy their golden years more. Yet most retirees underspend in retirement out of the fear of running out of money. So let's go over why this happens, what it means for your retirement, and how you can avoid falling into this trap. All of this centers on one major fear, the fear of running out of money. And this fear seems to be present for the vast majority of retirees, regardless of wealth level. And it's a valid concern because retirement comes with a lot of unknowns, like how long are you going to live? What is your health going to look like? And any potential medical expenses that you are going to face as your years wear on. Retiring at 60 could easily mean that you have 30 or 40 years in retirement, living without a paycheck, relying solely on your investments. And it's this action that causes so many retirees to overly restrict their spending. I think the most common recommendation, the most common rule of thumb that we've all heard is that a safe rate of withdrawal once you get to retirement is 4%, where you withdraw 4% of your portfolio's total value every single year, making an annual adjustment for inflation. And if you follow this rule, you're very unlikely to run out of money. We often see examples that look something like, say you have $1 million saved up. You would be able to withdraw $40,000 a year, and that would be a sustainable withdrawal over the course of your retired years. When you consider this withdrawal from savings and investments, and then you add in Social Security and any pension one may have, collectively these funding sources make up your income in retirement. And this is really the information that we build retirement spending models around. But the problem is, while this may be the most commonly cited spending plan, or even perhaps one may consider the most optimal spending plan, this isn't actually what we see executed when people get to retirement. In fact, only 3% of retirees who use a withdrawal method in retirement withdraw a specific percentage of their total assets. And for those retirees who are withdrawing a specific percentage of assets, you know what the most common withdrawal rate is? Just 2%. And the reason this withdrawal is so low is that fear of running out of money. Retirees overly restrict their withdrawals in retirement so as to not draw down on their savings and investments. Let's look at what this means over the course of an entire retirement. Let's say we have a retiree who has a 30-year retirement, and let's say they retire with $1 million portfolio. Assuming our retiree follows that often cited 4% rule and makes an annual adjustment for inflation, over the course of their retirement, they would be able to spend about $1.8 million. However, if they withdraw just 2%, they cut their spending in half to just under $900,000 over the course of these 30 years. The number one priority people cite in preparation for retirement is that they want to be able to sustain their current standard of living once they step away from the workforce. But that's not what we actually see happen. What we see happen is that retirees overly and unnecessarily restrict their spending. According to a study from New York Life, 73% of retirees reduce their discretionary spending more than necessary, and 67% find ways to trim their budget, again, more than necessary. And a significant percentage of retirees continue to save and invest throughout their retirement years. And there's nothing wrong with saving and investing. In fact, you probably know if you watch this channel, I'm a huge advocate for both of these activities. But I do think it should cause a moment of pause, because if retirees are continuing to save and invest and overly restrict their spending to the point where it's leading to a lesser quality of life than they would otherwise want, maybe it's not the best course of action. One surprising thing retirement researchers have uncovered is that different streams of income are looked at very differently by retirees. Let's talk about this for a minute. Let's say you have a guaranteed pension of $40,000 a year with an annual cost of living adjustment and $0 in investments. Let's compare that to someone who has no pension and has $1 million in investments. Assuming you follow a safe rate of withdrawal of 4% in your first year of retirement, and then make annual adjustments for inflation in each subsequent year. From a financial standpoint, in terms of spending power, these situations are pretty darn similar, right? Well, it turns out they're looked at pretty differently. Multiple industry studies have shown that people with more guaranteed income streams in retirement tend to spend more than those with less certainty. It turns out having a guaranteed stream of income, whether that's from Social Security, a pension, or even annuity, gives retirees the green light to spend. It's almost as if there's a sense of ease thinking that there's another check coming in a few weeks' time. It gives retirees permission to spend. It's almost as if these income sources are treated like a paycheck. On the other hand, savings and investments are looked at quite differently by most people. Rather, they're looked at something to not be spent, something to be preserved. Consider this: only 16% of retirees withdraw from their investments on a regular basis, and 30% of retirees have never made a single withdrawal from their retirement accounts. And this is present at nearly all income and all net worth levels. Those who have a larger portion of their income coming through guaranteed income streams routinely spend more than those who have a larger portion of their income coming from their own personal investments. In fact, this behavior is so common, experts even have a name for it. It's called the decumulation paradox. And this refers to the tendency of retirees to underspend their accumulated savings during retirement, even when they have sufficient funds to support a higher standard of living. I think this is something that really needs attention, or at the very least, something that we should be aware of, because we spend so much of our life saving and investing and building up our net worth so that we can one day step away from the workforce and have the freedom to live life on our own terms without having to rely on a paycheck. I've said it before, but I actually think the saving and investing portion of your journey is the easier portion. All you have to do is set aside a certain percentage of every single paycheck, put it into the market, and let the market do its thing. It's pretty cut and dry. However, once you step away from the workforce, that's when things get a little bit more complicated. That's when you really have to start to account for the unknowns, such as how long is your retirement going to last? How many healthy years are you going to have? What types of medical expenses might you face? This is where you have to try and balance spending to enjoy your golden years, but also making sure you don't spend too much that you run out of money. And this is actually a very difficult thing to balance. And what I'm starting to realize is that people are overly restricting their spending and ultimately reducing their enjoyment in their golden years. This may come in the way of reducing activities that retirees allow themselves to participate in, or perhaps dining out, or maybe they forego trips that they otherwise would have given themselves permission to take, or they forgo giving gifts to their children and grandchildren. Now, in no way am I trying to trivialize the fear of running out of money in retirement. No one wants to run out of money in retirement. But I do think for those of us who are natural savers and investors, I'm going to raise my hand here, I think this shows that the transition from saving and investing to spending in retirement is a difficult one. And I fully anticipate when I get to retirement that this will be a difficult transition to make. But I think having the awareness of it helps. I think it shines a light on a potential blind spot. I think it's important to enjoy the money you've worked so hard for, because money has no utility outside of providing you the life you want. While I think it's important to save and invest, I think it's also just as important once you reach retirement or once you reach financial freedom that you give yourself permission to spend, that you give yourself permission to enjoy the life you've worked so hard for. You don't want to overly restrict yourself in retirement. And this video is probably just as much a reminder to my future self as it is a reminder for those who happen to be wired like me. We have to keep in mind that those who spend more in retirement tend to enjoy their retirement years more. And some fun little things to keep in mind, and perhaps unsurprisingly, those with pensions tend to report greater happiness levels in retirement. When individuals start claiming Social Security, they notice a bump in happiness. Even those with annuities tend to report higher happiness levels. You spend decades working hard, saving and investing to secure your future. But your money isn't meant to just sit there. It's meant to help you live the life you've always dreamed of. Happiness doesn't come from hoarding wealth. It comes from using money to spend, creating memories and experiences, and yes, having security. So as you plan for your retirement, make sure that you give yourself permission to spend, to enjoy life and truly live the life you want, because that is money well spent. How do you plan on spending in retirement? Are you going to be adjusting your spending? Share your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. I'm so sorry. I don't even know. I don't know. It's not the day for me. Oh my goodness. I keep thinking, I need to actually just focus on what I'm saying and stop thinking of something else. I feel like you can see the wheels turning. No, I can't get back in the groove. This is why we don't take vacations. There's a hair. You don't know. I don't know what is wrong. It's getting worse. It's getting worse as time goes on. I don't know why. Why can't I just start and flow? I don't know if we should say screw it up. Would that upset people? The minute. It's not the minute, really. Last sentence. Then I'm getting breakfast. My shoulder hurts. Hoarding. Do nothing. We're doing nothing. Don't plan for your retirement. Just wing it.